Well, another interesting day with the FHFA, HUD, the FHA, and the Consumer Finance Protection Board with the FBI, the Department of Justice, the U.S. Treasury, and the whole gang. They do not want to explain to the American public how it is precisely that a multi-trillion reserve note, they're not dollars, folks, I'm sorry, a multi-trillion dollar reserve note collapsed and looting. They looted the living, oh God, they looted the banking, the savings and loans, they looted the mortgage system, they robbed the pension systems beyond belief, Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, AIG, the American Insurance Group. They just stole everything that was in sight. And then the American public picked up a multi-trillion dollar collapse that they paid for in the first place. Now, to move on to the subject of this video, Danske Bank, Deutsche Bank, JP Morgan Chase are caught up in the middle of hundreds of billions, some say it's more than $1 trillion, in European Deutschmark central banknotes. They're banknotes, they're not dollars. It's vast, unbelievable amounts of so-called paper money out of Russia that got laundered through the U.S. banking system. Now, folks, I'm intricately involved in exposing and blowing the whistle on the fact that massive numbers of Deutsche Bank and JP Morgan Chase mortgages were part of this money laundering conspiracy. In other words, the conspiracy to launder the money depended on the suckers that signed up for the predatory subprime loans. The suckers, the pigeons, if you will, that got targeted with these subprime predatory mortgages, they were integral. They were paramount. They were absolutely critically important to the money laundering operations working in the first place. You can't launder huge sums of money like this without the targets. The suckers, the pigeons, are necessary to the money laundering swindle and scam to function. Now, the United States District Court in Eastern Tennessee, Judge Clifton L. Corker, has ruled that he can't say that the allegations of money laundering can be ignored. You see, folks, you can't legally or lawfully engage in mortgage lending using dirty organized crime, extortion, murder, terrorist money, vast amounts of drug money to fund and monetize, to finance all the mortgages. Because the money laundering scheme is, in fact, based on the criminal modus operandi of all the illegal funds to begin with. In other words, you can't be in the mortgage business and a very wealthy, successful heroin dealer at the same time. Well, lawfully. Now, to the director of the FBI, Christopher Wray, to the Attorney General of the United States, William Barr, to Patrick McHenry, to Adam Schiff, Maxine Waters, the Congress and Senate of the United States, Financial Services and Banking Committees, and especially to the Judiciary Committee. I would like this whole U.S. government to explain precisely how it is that these mega banks laundered the money. Were they mixing it all together with clean money and then lending it out for real estate mortgages and car loans? And the answer is yup. Very definitely, positively. The only reason these great big mega banks had the enormous amounts of money to engage in the mortgage subprime predatory business, the dirty money mortgages, was because they had all that dirty money in the first place. And you can't launder the money. Remember now, you can't launder the money without the suckers that signed up for those predatory mortgages. So right out of the starting blocks, right up front, the crimes were committed immediately. At the very moment that the programs to lend this money were offered and advertised to the public, behind the closed doors in secret, these mega banks realized what they were up to. A money laundering scheme that violated huge numbers of felonies, violates the Bank Secrecy Acts, doesn't reveal to the targets, to the victims, to the suckers, to the pigeons of these mortgages. They didn't disclose to the consumers that their mortgages were being funded, monetized, and financed with very extremely criminal and illegal money laundering schemes and scams and practices. So, to the Federal Housing Finance Administration, open up your records. I've gone round and round and round and round and round with you jackasses, and all you want to do is kick the can down the road and stonewall. You're stonewalling the release of these records to the American public, and you're secreting and hiding the release of these records to the world. You've got to open the records. Freedom of Information Act requires it. Public policy and the transparency that a Republican form of constitutional government requires makes it unavoidable that the Federal Finance Housing Administration, the Consumer Finance Protection Bureau, the Financial Fraud Investigation Task Force, the FBI, the Department of Justice, FHA, and the Congress and the Senate, and the Office of the President of the United States, Donald J. Trump, one of the most famous Deutsche Bank customers. We need to explain to the world, President Trump, just how dirty, dirty, dirty your favorite little bank Deutsche is with J.P. Morgan Chase. Folks, there's no other way to explain it. It's, Donald Trump's dealing with some very crooked bankers, and there you have it. So I'm going to leave it right there. Read all the research you want, dig into this all you want, and if you come up with another scenario, you come up with some different inferences, and you come up and find some different facts, hey, make sure you share it. All you got to do is send us a message down below. This is Legacy Trust Media, and 10-4 over and out. You betcha. God bless, and we will definitely be back.